afternoon. A very warm welcome to this special. India will take on Australia in the third and the final ODI at the MH Damram Stadium in Chennai. And after being bundled out for 117 in the second ODI at Visakhapatnam, Indian batters will be under pressure to come good in the series decider. That's what we'll be discussing today. We will be previewing the third and the final ODI, but India's top order has struggled in both the ODIs before this. In the first match at the Wankhede Stadium, India were in trouble at 83 for 5, chasing 189. And it was because of KL Rahul and Ravindra Jadeja that they ended up crossing the line. In the second match, the Indian batting collapsed against the pace and swing of Mitchell Starc, showing India's ineptness in facing left-arm pacers. In Chennai, India is likely to get a much different wicket from the one in Visakhapatnam, with pitch aiding spinners in recent times in white ball matches. It is likely to be a slow, sticky wicket. So the question is, will India bring in Washington Sundar with his ability to bowl in power plays, and this being his home ground, he would know the conditions well? And what about Suryakumar Yadav? Will India continue to play him? Will they drop him down the order? Maybe get Hardik Pandya before him to bat at number 4. Remember, Hardik Pandya has done it for his team Gujarat. But we'll talk about all of that with Jamie Orter, who joins me here. Jamie, thank you so much for taking the time out. Let's get straight into it. We're going to get into the changes a little bit later. But now, this being a series decider, a lot at stake for India, given that at home, it's not often that they are in a situation like this. But Australia have battled hard. In a World Cup year, this is important for India to win this series.
Yes, thank you for having me back on the show. It's very, very important because, like we discussed before, any other year, these three ODIs, which came on the heels of a major test series, and then very shortly before the IPL, it'd be an A team or a B team and all, and no one really cared. But because it's a World Cup year, because it's Australia, and now because Australia have leveled the series, this final match, at the Chepauk becomes very, very important. And also, it's not just that Australia won, it's the manner in which they won. We talked about left-arm pace yesterday. This is going to be a very, very different wicket. There's a bit of rain apparently yesterday. What's the pitch going to be like? Will India change their track? All this we'll discuss. But India, Maya, like we discussed earlier, 2019, just months before the World Cup and weeks before the IPL, Australia were the last team to come here and beat India in a bilateral ODI series. And the Indian team is not entirely the same, but there are a lot of players who are there. So they'll be like, hang on, this cannot be happening again just months away from a World Cup. So had India won the second match, this third match would have been the proverbial dead rubber. But this time, nothing like that at all.
I think the fact that India were bundled out for 117, so it's not just that the series is leveled at 1-1, Jamie, but it's also the fact that the way they lost the last game. That's why this becomes even more important for them to bounce back, isn't that so? I mean, it's one thing that you've actually played well, but you've been outplayed by the opposition. But Australia bossed them in the last game. And even in the first game, if you see India's batting, it really was that late order effort from Ravindra Jadeja and KL Rahul that helped them cross the line.
Exactly. An individual battle. Shubman Gill, who came into this series, having scored the most runs in one days, he's not got starts, and he's been out in the same way. Virat Kohli, after getting, 300s and 4 ODIs not too long ago, he's not getting runs. Rohit Sharma need runs. So there's a lot of players who will be itching to make a mark. And just because it's Australia, teams want to dominate Australia. You talk about India versus Australia. Very, very tough to beat this team in the 90s. Then things started to change in the 2000s, early 2000s. And then last 10 years, I think the results are heavily skewed in favor of India. But to lose at home and then to be bowled out for 117, and then, as much time we've given Mitchell Starc, on our shows, the manner that Mitchell Marsh came out and finished that chase in 11, this is going to be a smarting, bruised Indian team collectively, but there are a few egos inside that Indian batting lineup, which will hope to dominate, and would also perhaps feel a bit more comfortable given the fact that this decider, as we call it, is now in Chennai, where batting has been somewhat easier. and spinners also have a bigger say. So let's see.
I like the way that, there are some egos there. They'd want to come back and dominate. I hope that's not how Suryakumar Yadav is thinking. But we'll come to Suryakumar Yadav in just a bit. We've been talking about what this series means for India in a World Cup year, and also them losing the last game means, because what they did was not just lose the game, but it was one of the heaviest defeats at home. Take a look at India's lowest scores, lowest totals against Australia. And you'd see one thing there, Jamie, and those numbers are going to come up on your screens, that all other venues have been away venues except for the one in Visakhapatnam. 63 in Sydney, 100 in Sydney, that's 117 in Visakhapatnam, 125 Centurion, 145 Melbourne. There are two things that stand out for me. One, of course, the fact that this has happened at home. Second, Jamie, if you look at the series, team batting first hasn't been able to cross 200. And that just takes me to the next question. Is it something now that batters are struggling with, trying to construct an ODI innings? I mean, both those pitches weren't, anything that the batters made it out to be it in Visakhapatnam or at the Wankhede Stadium.
Yeah, I think when you're playing, when you're a three-format player and you're playing in a packed calendar, the lines do get blurred, and it's natural that certain players will perhaps approach a test match with a T20 mindset, or a one-day match with a T20 mindset. But I was just seeing the stats which your producer just put up. Of those 5 instances, I mean, the last one was 20 years ago, and the rest were all going back to 1981. It just says how India, like I mentioned, the stats are skewed in favor of India, So it's very rare that Australia actually managed to bowl India out, which just goes back to something that I touched upon when we were talking the last time. Okay, one low score, one flat performance doesn't make this team suddenly bad. But yes, the ability to construct the innings, I know for a fact that many people on such platforms, on social media, even WhatsApp groups are discussing why after one loss are Indian batsmen not able to bat out time, And I get it, maybe it's a knee-jerk reaction, but when you collapse that way, right? I mean, what? You couldn't even get to the halfway mark of your own innings, and then the match was over in about, 40-something overs. But I think it is also the mode of shots. Shubman Gill getting out twice, Rohit Sharma getting out in that manner. I mean, we've discussed Surya Kumar Yadav a lot. But when the team fails to, see off the power play without loss, and then loses, 3 and then 5 wickets, that's 8 wickets collectively inside a power play. Exactly. Of course, questions will be asked about the ability. But like I said yesterday, Shubman Gill does have 300s this year, including a double. So if anyone in that team right now is capable of batting out 40 overs, it is Shubman Gill. And let's hope, given the awesome rise he's had, that he removes these 2 blemishes from the last 2 matches when he comes up against Stark tomorrow in Chennai.
The other thing being that, you're talking about how is it that players weren't looking comfortable as well. Some getting out to lose shots, Shubman Gill being the case in point. Virat Kohli, of course, batted well, looked good until he got out. Suryakumar Yadav trapped in front with another missile from Mitchell Stark. But Akshar Patel seems to be comfortable here as well. He was comfortable in the Border Gavaskar Trophy. He looks good here as well, Jamie. Now we're coming to a point where Akshar Patel, India may not want him just for his, for his bowling, but more for his batting.
Oh, I have no doubt that Akshar Patel played the second match because of his batting, right? But just look at how fickle. Look at how fickle white ball cricket has become. It was not 6 months ago when Akshar was batting. I think it's 6 or 5, and we're like, why is this guy batting at 6 and 5? Now it's like, why isn't he batting at 5 or 6? And again, it just goes back to while we discuss it in a very light-hearted vein, and we sprinkled the odd joke here and there. There's just so much cricket happening, Meha. And if you're a 3-format player, which, let's face it, Meha, it is only very recently that Shubman Gill is now being looked at as a 3-format player. All this while, until he got that 123 not out in India's previous T20I, which, as you know, and I hope our viewers know, stands as India's highest individual score. We're all saying, Shubman Gill, why is he playing T20s? He doesn't have the game. He's best suited in a test. He's finally making his way in one day. But now, after that 100, he's definitely a 3-format player, which is why I'm not surprised that maybe he's struggling because, he has to change his template so quickly and so rapidly. I'm willing to excuse him those two dismissals. Yes, they look bad, but they weren't golden ducks. He did get a few runs. Let's just hope he goes back, Meha, to doing what he's done so well over the last almost 15 months now. That is batting out 25, 30, 40 overs in a
Correct.
T20.
Okay, let's also look at what to expect from MA Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai. Now, in recent times, we've seen during the IPL as well, one of the things that Chennai Super Kings always does is just get three spinners in and, and bamboozle the opposition. And that's what you can expect. MA Chidambaram Stadium has seen raging turners in white ball matches. So, despite the rain, I'm guessing it is going to be a slow, sticky wicket, unlike Wankhede and Visakhapatnam. So the other question will be, will India continue to go in with those three spinners? Will there be any change? Also, India have played 13 ODI matches. They won 7 and lost 5. The other thing being that they won 3 and lost 2 of their last 5 matches at this venue. So, the average score here also at this venue in 21 ODIs is 259 runs. So it's not a very high scoring ground, Jamie, though in 2019, the last match that India played, which was against West Indies ended up chasing 288 runs. I was looking at that scorecard, 288 runs, because the pitch got better under the lights. And I think they won by 8 wickets. So do you see this being, that kind of a wicket? Is there any surprises in store, or do you see this as a spinner's paradise?
I would say definitely spin will have a say, because you rightly just underlined the fact, why it's been that way. I think had India's batting not struggled both in the Mumbai ODI as well as the Vizag ODI, I would have said probably India could have gotten to 310, because you're right, the MA Chidambaram Stadium does not regularly see teams put up 300. At least in the last 10 years, for a decade, no team has got to 300. But yes, there's been a bit of rain around, so maybe it'll be a bit more tacky. So maybe, if India's batting somehow gets it together, you might see them get to 260, 270, because Australia is bowling very, very well. As brilliant as Mitchell Stark has been, like I said yesterday, Sean Abbott, coming in, as one of those stopgap players and taking 3 wickets and 3 good wickets. So definitely India are going to struggle there. But in regards to 3 spinners, I have absolutely no doubt that India will play 3 spinners. So the question is, Meha, if you have any viewers here, I'd like to hear their views as well. Is it going to be the conventional, Kuldeep Yadav? Is he a given? Or is it going to be 3 spinners, but of the spin bowling all-rounder variety? I think it might be somewhat risky, maybe to use that cliche, maybe a left field pick. I would actually drop Kuldeep Yadav. And this is not a slight on him. It's because India's batting collectively, Meha, has not been able to do the job. You probably want Jadeja, you need Akshar, and now you might also need, instead of want, someone like Washington Sundar.
But then, the other side to it is, Jamie, you don't get that variety that Kuldeep provides then in this lineup. So what do you do? Because Akshar and Jadeja are very similar kind of players, similar kind of bowlers.
Absolutely, you're right on the money, and this is also Rahul Dravid's team. They want consistency. Rahul Dravid's his management really values, orthodox.
Yeah.
But these are slightly desperate times, because it's just one ODI, but you don't want to lose this, right? And more than that, why I said it'll be unfair on Kuldeep to be excluded, but the batting is the real problem right now. I'm not looking too much into how the bowlers fared against Mitchell Marsh in Vizag, because even if they had Bumrah, and anyone around, this guy was just on a mission to dominate, right? So Kuldeep was not allowed to settle. So is it just one bad match? No, but it's because the batting is required, right? India have lost 3 and 5 wickets for a total of 8 wickets inside the power play, right? After that, they've actually only had Jadeja in one match and Akshar Patel in the second match. They're going to need more than Kuldeep's variety, more than his bounce, and he will get bounce on that track. I just feel, and I don't know whether it's going to happen, because it's a very bold move. You will actually require Washington Sundar 50% the power play bowler, but Washington Sundar 50% the lower middle order batsman. India have been so dependent on Akshar and Jadeja and Ashwin in the test matches, which is why I now feel you replace Ashwin with another Tamil Nadu all-rounder in Sundar. And I think this is actually going to be the more pivotal role. That is what he brings with the bat.
And also the home conditions, you know, how he would know these conditions well, how he would know how to bowl in these conditions, that's going to be helpful as well. But you raised a valid point there about him being a power play bowler. You know, Jamie, I was just thinking about this, that when you see those two matches at the Wankhede as well as in Visakhapatnam, not very helpful for spinners. In situation like that, if India, come the World Cup, have to figure out who are their spinners, who do you think will be more effective in conditions which are not really suited to spin out of these spinners?
Very good question, and I will answer this question keeping in mind tomorrow's match as well as the World Cup, which is six months away. For that specific role, you have the boy, he's 23, 24, he's Washington Sundar, because the faith that he's gained by playing for Tamil Nadu, T20s I'm talking about, the TNPL, but most importantly under MS Dhoni, right? The ability to come and bowl in the power play. That's his specific role. It's a role with Ashwin did so well for so many years with CSK and then also in T20s, right? Akshar Patel can do the job very well in T20s, but in the one-day match, if you want to slow the game down, if you perhaps want to do something a little bit different, you know, and India needs something different to try and stop Travis Head and Mitchell Marsh. On that tacky Chennai track, I would definitely play Washington Sundar tomorrow. Yes, home conditions, but now the lines are very blurred because players play at certain venues. But keeping in mind the World Cup 6 months from now, I'll say it again, I'm willing to stick my neck out and say that India will depend far more on whoever their 3 or maybe 4 spin bowling all-rounders will be in the World Cup than they would on a specialist spinner like Kuldeep, like Chahal, or even their fast bowlers. It's going to be a World Cup of spin bowling all-rounders, and India should be very thankful that they have 3. Also, someone like Deepak Hooda, who's not around, he should definitely come into the mix very, very soon.
True. Okay, the other thing being also, Jamie, we spoke about Mitchell Starc yesterday, and we'll continue that. We raved about him. We'll just continue because I've found more numbers. And we were talking about whether he is really in that list of the great ODI bowlers. And these numbers will show you why he belongs there. First, I'm going to put up his World Cup numbers. And we've spoken about this yesterday, but the numbers will just put it in perspective as to how good he's been in 2 World Cups, in one which Australia ended up winning in 2015, as well as in 2019. And look at that, Jamie, 8 matches in 2015, 22 wickets, average of 10.18, strike rate of 17.4. In 2019, 10 matches, 27 wickets, 18.79 is average, strike rate of 20.5. This is absolutely phenomenal, these numbers. And you know, when I look at him and what he's done for Australia in these 2 World Cups, I wonder, in the absence of Jasprit Bumrah, who's going to do this for India?
Who's going to bowl left-arm pace like Mitchell Starc for India? Yeah. Unfortunately, there's no one. But where is T. Natarajan? You know, if Arshdeep Singh is a proven T20I bowler who played 25 matches in his first, 6-7 months of international cricket, why aren't you trying him out in ODIs? Just because he's played 3 ODIs and he's not done anything great, you discard him. If he is fit, if Natarajan is fit, if Mohsin Khan is fit, you know, bring the left-armers. I mean, we did a whole show yesterday on left-armers. India desperately need, and it's not just about can India field one. I would say more important than India playing a left-arm pacer in their 11, they need at least 3 to play to be in the squad and to bowl to Kohli, to Shubman, to Rohit Sharma, to Iyer, to Jadeja, to KL Rahul, to Sky. Yeah. They need to improve their game collectively. But just to talk about Mitchell Starc, if you look at the top 5 left-arm pacers in the history of ODI, wickets, Mitchell Starc slots in at number 5, and the 4 above him are bona fide legends. But the man has a significantly lower strike rate than Wasim Akram, than Zahir Khan, than Mitchell Johnson. So this is a guy who's on the path to real greatness when it comes to one-day bowling, Mitchell Starc.
That's right. More numbers then for you. Overall, 109 matches, 219 wickets, and like you said rightly, 25.6, the best strike rate in ODIs, economy of 5.09. In wins, it gets even better. His average goes down 17.71, 22.3. If those numbers could be put up on our screens, then we can see this. Against India, though, Jamie, against India, he's expensive. He's, averaging 30.96. But he has shown us what he can do. In India itself, again, 6 matches, 11 wickets, 32.09, 30.3 is his strike rate. The last column is what is amazing. 2021 to 2023, Jamie, 19.4 is his strike rate. In 13 matches, 35 wickets. He's been incredible. And coming into this World Cup, if he is in this kind of form, he'll be unstoppable.
Absolutely, he'll be unstoppable because, like I mentioned yesterday, he's not going to be playing the IPL, so he's going to have a slightly better drive, and he'll definitely be fitter because he doesn't stand the risk of getting injured. But no, it's Mitchell Stark, and when you sift through these numbers, see his performances in World Cups. He had a massive role in helping Australia win the 2015 One-Day World Cup at home. 2019, Australia did not make it that far, but Stark took a lot of wickets. So if you isolate his figures just to look at ICC trophies, and especially one-day matches, the guy's numbers get even better. So no doubt he looms. Yes, 6 months away, things can change. But right now, Mitchell Stark is looming as a massive threat, not just to India, but to every single team in that one-day World Cup, barring Australia, of course.
The other thing being, Jamie, that, when you look at Mitchell Stark's numbers and you also look at the kind of form he's in, we saw that 5-4 in the last game. That again brings me to the next question. Wouldn't you want a left-hander in your top order just to disrupt his plans? Because, that changes things for him. He'll have to change his game plan. Is that something that the team should look to do? And is that something India should look at going into the World Cup? And that's why whenever we've had a conversation around Ishan Kishan as well, I've said, look, he's a left-hander. You need somebody. Shikhar Dhawan was doing that for you. Right now, there is no left-hander. And most teams want to do that today. They really believe in this theory of left-right combination. So is that something that the team will look to do?
Theoretically, it's a very good point and a valid one. But right now, the way that Stark is bowling in these 2 matches, it doesn't matter left, right, upside down, whatever you do at the crease, he's going to find a way to get you out. Now, had Rishabh Pant been around, I would have said, yes, things could have been better. But again, Pant's record is nothing outstanding against left-arm pace, right?
Yeah.
When Ishan Kishan is your only option right now, the selectors and the management have to be asked that question, okay, why is the only left-hander available right now to you, someone by the name of Ishan Kishan, who, like you pointed out a few shows ago, does not have a very good middle-order one-day record, right? But I just think right now, the way Stark is bowling, a left-hander would not have made a difference. He's just too good. He is next to unplayable on the basis of what we've seen in these 2 matches.
Okay, then moving on to India's bowling, we spoke about, whether in the absence of Jasprit Bumrah, there could be somebody who could bowl like that, the way Mitchell Stark is bowling. Where are your left-armers, Jamie? But in this match, what is the role of your fast bowlers tomorrow if this turns out to be a completely spin-friendly track?
Get Mitchell Marsh out as soon as possible. The power play, I still feel as potentially tidy as Washington Sundar could be in the power play. I still think, knowing the fact that it's Rohit Sharma and Rahul Dravid, they probably will bowl the bulk of the power play overs, at least the first 8 from the 2 fast bowlers. Then beyond the first 10 overs, I'd say, Maya, the role of the fast bowlers in Chennai is to come in the middle, just to perhaps, roughen up the bowlers, maybe bowl some short balls. But after the power play, their most important role is at the death, because I still don't think India traditionally, especially with Rahul Dravid at the helm of affairs, is going to want to bowl the power play overs from a spinner. They're going to require the tried and tested option of someone trying to bowl, in a fuller length in the block hole at the end. But that said, definitely you're looking at 30 overs of, I think, quality spin tomorrow. I don't know which those 3 bowlers will be, but I'm willing to say that it's going to be 30 overs of quality spin from India tomorrow.
Okay, the other thing, Jamie, let's just also talk about Suryakumar Yadav, and I know we've spoken about him a lot, but what seems to have happened now? I wonder, first of all, I wonder what he must be going through. There must be a tremendous amount of pressure on him. Why I'm saying this is because T20Is was so easy for him, you know. I mean, you just saw him walk in. There was no time there that he took. There was no struggle there, right? And then what he ended up doing was set these standards for the world to see. You know, they were the ones who looked at him and said, and top cricketers would look at him and say, this is what T20 is all about now. Players want to play like him. Young cricketers want to be like him. That's how big he is in T20Is, right? The best cricketer right now when it comes to the T20 format, the best batter rather. Now in ODIs, the struggle is continuing. And I don't know how much of that pressure is playing on him as well, because it's different now. He's not seen this struggle really in international cricket.
I think let's just look, Maya, in isolation at these two golden ducks right now. You've talked accurately about the rise he's had, the confidence he brings. I'm willing to wager that if tomorrow's match was a T20, he would go out there and get 50, 60 in the blink of an eye. Now, while I'm no one to dissect someone's technique, I was watching also on Star Sports. They did a whole show almost, or half a show, on the way he was dismissed in the second match. The foot was in the wrong position. The back foot was actually in the air in the second, and the bat was coming from a wrong angle. This just says that he's still in that T20 mode. We've seen so often with such alarming efficiency and fluency and even daredevilry, Suryakumar Yadav start off T20 innings by going back and throwing a bowler off his length by paddling, by pulling, by hooking, sometimes even by, ramping the ball over third man. It's a shot, or it's a start, I would say, Meha, that's brought him such success. So I think he's just stuck in that zone. He did not expect the ball to do so much in that Mumbai match. And then the second match, you see. Now, who came right after him? Hardik Pandya. Hardik Pandya got a similar ball, and the first ball he faced, he was standing more slightly outside the crease, and he drove that ball. So he was fully prepared, Meha, before the ball was bowled, fully prepared to ensure it did not even come anywhere near the stumps or his pad, and he drove the ball back, and I think it hit Mitchell Starc's foot, and then it ricocheted off. I was expecting Suryakumar Yadav to take that kind of approach. You know the Stark is going to bring the ball in. You know he's looking to trap you LBW from the start. Why was he stuck to the crease? Because I think he's still stuck in that T20I mindset where the time is less. You have to play, he needs to first respect the man that is Mitchell Stark, respect the ODI format, understand that he's not cracked it. He seems far from cracking it. And also to understand that I need to trust the technique which has gotten me here. One day cricket is about biding out time. He needs to understand if I face 25, 30, and he's capable. What? Face 25 balls, score 12 runs. KL Rahul did this. Ravindra did this. Hardik Pandya have done this. Score 12 off your first 25 balls. Back yourself to bat deep, and I'm sure you'll do wonders here as well. He's just not understanding the shift that one-day cricket demands, especially when wickets have fallen.
Absolutely. The other thing being then, it leads me to the next question. You talked about Hardik Pandya being prepared. Is that something that the team will look to do? Give him that spot where he has fewer overs to face. He can go out, play his natural game, get him down the order, get him at 5 or 6. Is that some 6 rather? KL Rahul is at 5, so get him at 6. Push Hardik Pandya up. Is that something they can look to do?
They can look to do. They also have the option of trying Ravindra Jadeja. He is after all the one fixed lefty. You've already asked the question: should Akshar Patel bat higher? India have options, Meha, to bat. It's just one match, right? You're not planning for a 4th ODI or a 5th ODI or a quarterfinal. You literally just have one ODI, and your backs are against the wall. But like I said earlier, the way that Mitchell Stark is bowling, whoever comes, I'm willing to bet that he's going to find a way to get them out very soon. He's just in that awesome form right now.
Also, they're playing this ODI. Then the next ODI series that India plays will be against West Indies. And then they have those 3 ODIs here at home against Australia. So it's not that they have too many matches in which they can experiment. This is not going to be easy for them to find their middle order, to make sure who their number 4 is, whether it's Suryakumar Yadav, whether they'll try Sanju Samson, whether Shreyas Iyer will be fit and will be brought right back in there. That question will be there, Jamie. But there's another big story today that we want to tell our viewers of. Now, everybody has been wondering that with the World Cup later this year, also there is Asia Cup before the World Cup. And Asia Cup is meant to be held in Pakistan. But last year, Jay Shah, BCCI's secretary, said that India will not be travelling to Pakistan and they will try to push for a neutral venue. That's the story that we are talking about. There's still no clarity right now. Later this year, whether the Asia Cup will be shifted out of Pakistan, in fact, whether it would be shifted to a neutral venue. And what the status quo is right now is that if India pull out of the Asia Cup or do not go to Pakistan, or if Asia Cup moves out to a neutral venue, then Pakistan will not come for the World Cup to India. Now, Sports Minister Anurag Thakur, he was asked this question of whether India will be travelling to Pakistan, and he said, and I quote, "Let the BCCI take a call on Indian team's participation in Asia Cup first, then only the Sports Ministry and Home Ministry will decide," unquote. Now, he wasn't asked a follow-up question, which is that BCCI has already taken a call, because BCCI on its part, they made it very clear that the Indian team will not go to Pakistan for the Asia Cup. Like I said, last year in October, BCCI's secretary Jay Shah had said that India won't travel to Pakistan for the tournament. They will instead push for a neutral venue. Shah is also the president of the Asian Cricket Council, who will take the final decision on the shifting of the venue. And in fact, PCB chief is meeting ICC officials as well as ACC officials in trying to settle the issue. As of now, no clarity. Even as this confusion over whether Asia Cup will be shifted out of Pakistan to a neutral venue, or if India will travel to Pakistan, this continues. Former Pakistan captain Shahid Afridi has said that the Indian board should be more responsible, since it's a very strong board, and should try to normalize relations between the two nations. He said, and I quote, "I will request Modi Sahab to let cricket happen between both countries. What can we do if we want to befriend someone and he does not talk to us?" There is no doubt that the BCCI is a very strong board, and when you are strong, you have more responsibility. You don't try to make more enemies. You need to make friends. When you make more friends, you become stronger, unquote. Okay, so we're running out of time, but we'll take a quick reaction from Jamie on this. Jamie, your thoughts on this? At the end of the day, as sports journalists, I mean, politics of sports does not interest us, but this is, Shahid Afridi requesting Modi Sahab.
I mean, look, obviously Shahid Afridi is entitled to his views. वो थोड़े जज्बाती हो गए. He's also playing it on the sidelines of the Legends League, where
Correct.
he's meeting a lot of his old friends from the Indian team, and I get where that emotional statement or emotional appeal has come. But let's face it, India is not going to Pakistan anytime soon, and most likely the Asia Cup will be played in a neutral venue. And by some shape, way, or form, Pakistan will, of course, end up coming to the one-day World Cup, because a World Cup cannot go on without Pakistan. It was not long ago when we were wondering, oh, well, if Ramiz Raja gets his way, Pakistan won't show up. South Africa have forfeited Super League points. Maybe they won't be there. Sri Lanka have to qualify. It's just not viable that a one-day World Cup, when the one-day format is being questioned, that Pakistan, South Africa, and Sri Lanka don't be there. Things will all fall into place, and I think they'll all be there at the World Cup next year.
Okay, thank you so much. We've run out of time, but Jamie Alter, always fun to have you here on the show. And the other thing being that now what it seems like is that Pakistan are saying that let's have some matches at least in Pakistan and move the others, especially the ones which are involving India out of Pakistan. So no clarity yet on this still. But as and when there are any developments, we'll get you right here on News 9 Live. That's it on this show. Hope you enjoyed our presentation. And of course, tomorrow, just before the match, 1:30 is the match at M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai. just before the match at around 12:40 is when we go live with the preview. So do join us then. We'll talk about the likely playing 11, a pitch report and all the latest, then match predictions as well. So if you're into that kind of stuff, do join us then. For now, goodbye. Thanks for watching.